Thank you, Yusan, for the introduction. My name is Teo, and today I'll be talking about how we're at Mercari. I'll be talking about how we're using AI, GenAI at Mercari to transform our marketplace experience for our customers and to create that, what we're calling that next generation of customer experience. And so the talk is going to be pretty short. There's not too much I can get through in 20 minutes. Again, we're doing many things, and these are just a few examples. So I'll start off with a quick introduction, and then what we mean when we're innovating with GenAI, what that actually looks like in practice when we're delivering real customer value to our users, and then what's next, where we think we're going to go in the future. And so I think most people in this room have heard of Mercari, and if not, we are Japan's largest C2C e-commerce marketplace. We have about 23, almost 24 million monthly active users, billions of product listings, as well as, I guess, the total volume of sales that we have per year is in the order of yen 1 trillion. And we started as a marketplace app over 11 years ago. We've since branched out to a larger ecosystem of offerings. And we have this idea of value creation. How can we create synergy between all of our different product offerings to add value to society? And just zooming in right here to technology capital, in addition to billions of product data, as mentioned before, we have over 11 years of honed in what we're calling matching technologies, including AI. We have a dedicated AI LLM team, and then we also have a dedicated research division that's upstream of this team. And I wanted to focus here and ask the question of, why the dedicated AI LLM team is number 2 on our bullet points of technology capital that we think is important to create value for our customers. And this is my thesis on, this is our innovation bet. With Gen AI, we can catalyze development across the company, not just for our users, but for our internal teams that serve those users. And this team was formed very, very recently. So just in May of last year, May of last year, the team was formed without any concrete objective other than to find places to add value in our marketplace. And they did. Again, what we wanted to do at the beginning was we knew at the very beginning, we're going to create this dedicated team, but it's for the purpose of helping out all of these other teams that are a core part of our marketplace. And so we started here and said, let's develop productivity tools to help these teams upstream or downstream of us that can, again, scale our impact much larger than we could our own developing, say, like one-off demos or tools. And with that experience, we wanted to develop workflows that we could use for actual end-term product-facing features to deliver business value in the long term as well. And so that's what we did here. And this is our innovation bet, is you would create a virtuous cycle between teams of solving their problems, again, with productivity tools, and then eventually working with them to solve concrete customer problems, learning from that to develop workflows that helped us to develop better solutions to other teams. And that would be the next generation of AI at Mercari. Not the Gen AI itself, but as a vehicle for us to do more as an organization. And so, just again, 15 minutes, we don't have too much that we can cover. There are so many things, but we did want to start with some of the help that we give the listing team for the seller side of our marketplace. And so, again, formed in May of last year, in October of last year, developing lots of productivity tools over a very lightning speed of 5 months. We were then able to develop the skills we needed to develop the first user-facing feature that we worked with the listing team to create. And what this technology was a way for us to help new users to better list their items. And then fast forward to just September of last year, one of our recently unveiled features that we're really proud of is taking that same kind of support and offering it to all of our users in the listing experience in general. And this came from a concrete customer problem. This wasn't Gen AI looking for a solution. This was a problem looking for a solution that Gen AI could solve. So this was a long-term customer problem where we make buying today as easy as 3 taps and you can buy any item that you found. We wanted listing to feel the same way because people feel burdened when listing these items with all the information they need to add. They have a lot of things they want to sell and they could if the barrier to entry was lower. And even if they try, again, the paralysis by analysis, it's too much, and then they give up listing altogether. So enter AI listing support with just 3 taps, take a picture, click a category, and then you have a title and description generated. And then if that looks good, that last tap and you're done. You've had an item listed on the marketplace. And this is what that looks like. I wanted to mention it before going into this, this GIF because of the fact it's too fast, right? This is exactly how the listing experience looks like today with the Gen AI feature that we developed with the help of the listing team. And I went through that really quickly. There was a lot of work that went into this. This was quarters of effort and a lot of invisible impact behind the scenes. So there's a customer-facing feature that you have, but then there are also these tools and these workflows that you develop and all the iterations, long nights and weekends that you spent to get something out the door that seemed simple, but really wasn't. So kudos to the team for developing those workflows. Again, using these concrete user problems as a way for us to develop skills for us to take to other projects and move the rest of the company forward. And then talking about the rest of the company, again, that was a seller side feature. Talking about the buyer side of the equation, we wanted to work with the recommendation team to help serve better items to customers. This is concretely our first use case, is that we have a similar looks feature that takes an image of an item and says, okay, can you find me similar items? Maybe the user would be interested, the customer would be interested in that item. It's a very simple use case, designed to solve a much larger problem at the company, very endemic to all of our teams, in that this isn't a new idea to take an image and then get some ML feature downstream, some value out of that. But to do that, we need embeddings models, and there are many different teams across the company doing this same technique with very different approaches, and none of them had ever been fine-tuned on our, again, billions of product data catalog that we have. They've all been off the shelf and just so happened to work for their specific use case. And so we said, can we use this project that will deliver customer value, but also maybe a solution that could be extensible to other teams? And not just like a workflow, but an actual solution. Can we develop a unified embeddings model fine-tuned on our product data? And this is exactly what we were going for. We worked with, again, recommendation as the first way to prove out the concept that this would work overall. And so some technical details, not too important. The model that we chose on after many iterations was SIGLIP and just fine-tuned it on our product data. Again, seems simple on the surface. A lot of invisible work went into doing this, so kudos to the engineers for getting this out the door. And I can talk about, because there's so much that goes into this, even some of this offline components where weights and biases helped us a lot. So we have data ETL, training of the models, evaluation pipelines. All of this has to be validated offline before we even move to that production serving side of things that actually delivers the customer value. And huge workflows and pipelines, but weights and biases helped us to iterate really quickly here. So Lucas kind of made me feel a little self-conscious earlier in the talk. We said, oh, we have teams iterating with thousands of models and training runs and millions of metrics. We had 2 engineers do this in a few weeks, and I still think hundreds of runs speaks to that, and maybe they've had other updated graphs since then. But the point being is that this was still an order of magnitude more iteration than we could have done otherwise. And again, this was just because weights and biases made it really easy to track everything and then go back and say, what worked? Oh, SIGLIP fine-tune model worked. Let's go with that. And even all the rest of the offline evaluation pipeline, you can't just look at a number and say, okay, that's good to go. Human in the loop qualitative validation, and then which is where weights and biases helped us again. And so we would be able to say, okay, like we have a number of our model that we consider as a performance metric, but what does it actually look like when you're delivering this to users? And we see, okay, our model did quite the right thing. We had a patch actually after this that made us realize that 100% accuracy or similarity isn't something that we should shoot for when we're actually recommending items to people, but something close. And maybe something that we may not have considered had we not had this tool so readily available to us. And also, too, we still use Excel sheets, but we're hoping that one day, like having a system of record like weights and biases would help us to better share this information in a more extensible way than a spreadsheet. But still, the fact that that is there as an escape hatch is really nice. Weights and biases is thought of everything. And then focusing again on iteration speed, this is just a small overview of all of the actual images that we visualized for discovery. So without weights and biases, I think this would have been really hard to scale within a single person, let alone teams of people. And this is what that looked like at like the end of the day. I can't unfortunately show any like revenue numbers. They were really big, but I can show you qualitatively what we got out of this. And so we had the control, which was an off-the-shelf mobile net, and it returned cups. This is great. But we do see that our fine-tuned SIGLIP model here returned things that actually visually looked more interesting to me and then more relevant to the original item. And again, can't show you, but then this did validate offline that we should ship this, which resulted in like maybe no, how can I say, no exaggeration, an order of magnitude increase to the business KPIs for that team. And so some next steps that we're hoping on doing here, since we've proven this thing out, again, to serve it to those other teams, search, listing team, We're actually working with another partner team, Open Source Connections, for consulting to build out a robust embeddings pipeline that now the rest of the company can use going forward. And so, again, staying on the buyer side, some more next generation features that would have only been possible through AI. This was actually in tandem with search. And again, listening to concrete customer problems. We have GenAI, but really what actually do customers complain about? And one thing is search relevance. Because of the fact that non-AI search, we rely mostly on Elasticsearch in our back-end search engine. It can't cover things like semantics, which, again, we're hoping embeddings can. So thank you, Weights and Biases, for helping us iterate there. We can't also cover things like ambiguous keywords. Unfortunately, that's not something that can be done with classic search, text-based search. If you search one piece, what do you expect to get? Both of these things, actually, but maybe what do you want more? We can't say without something like personalization anyway. Something, again, that AI can help with and that GenAI specifically can help with out of the box. So as a motivating running example for the rest of this part of the presentation, I took one really difficult search query for relevance, and now I'm going to visualize it here. And this one is a Japanese fashion brand. Very interesting, because it has like a little asterisk in the middle. And so MA*RS does not do very well in text-based search. And this is what you get. Again, this is actually a Japanese fashion brand. So these two items that are related to the Mars Attacks movie series are not relevant. This item right here, this Bruno Mars calendar, or candle, not relevant. This Sailor Mars costume and the rest of these things over here are there, not relevant. And so we can see immediately that over half of the items on our first page were not relevant to the query, let alone to the user. There's no personalization here. It's just saying, for this query, give me the things that match. And these are the only things in that brand that match. So again, GenAI, what problems can it solve? We were very confident it could solve this problem. And shout out again, the collaboration works both ways. So a lot of this work was founded on work by Lirong Zhang for search quality, and they were the first to experiment with LLMs for this purpose. So thankfully, we had somewhere to start with this prompt here of, given this query and this item with a product description, images, things like this, give me a relevance score from exactly relevant to substitute, not really, but I'll buy it, versus a complementary item. Think when you search for iPhone and iPhone accessory, and then irrelevant, completely irrelevant. So now we had a place to start. Let's visualize our results. And this is the code that we started to do that. And then this is the way we visualize results, of course, because we're software engineers, so we reach for the easiest solution. And this is how we visualize results. Does anyone like this? Is this a solution that anyone enjoys? It's similar to Koide-san's talk from Woven by Toyota, where it's kind of like visualizing loss plots in your mind. It seems easy enough at first, but this is not scalable within a person, let alone a team of people. So that wasn't a solution. Well, we thought, well, what could we do that was very simple? This project started like 3 weeks ago, and we said, we don't have time to build out complex playgrounds. Some of our other projects have that leeway, but what can we do? We heard about this thing called Weave, and we tried it, and it was fantastic. So literally, those 3 lines of code, they weren't lying. They did exactly what you were supposed to do, and you got this out of the box. Way easier to navigate, even input and output logging than your standard structured JSON logs. Nice way to keep track of what you did, when, why, what client version you were using in case there were regressions. And then you can even leave useful feedback to other people. Again, in the spirit of collaboration, I can say, hey, someone else that I'm really looking forward to speaking with in the future, here are my notes and why this example is particularly important. And again, talking about iteration speed, just for one call, I guess one op and all of the calls for that op, 22,000 iterations by the time I made this presentation in 2 weeks. We wouldn't have been able to do that scalably in a way that we actually could look back and learn from without weights and biases, without Weave specifically. So now we have these tools to give us these superpowers, right? What can we do? Well, again, let's start with what we got from our solution. Now we can actually monitor results. Wait a minute, this is not part of a Japanese fashion brand, but now our model is claiming this is totally relevant, right? I don't know what the user's search intent was, but this is perfect. We know that that's not true. Let's go back to the drawing board here and said, okay, can you do a little bit of chain of thought and then do an internet search as well? Because even for that query, I didn't know what that brand was before searching Google. So maybe the model needs a little help, just like how a human would. And this was really effective until we realized, wait a minute, this wasn't my query. This was the title of the item. But it said that it was, and now because of that, it's exactly relevant. Wait a minute, the model's now hallucinating, being belligerent, and saying, I listened to what you said. This is still my wrong opinion. And so we said, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Because of the fact that we've made it really easy to iterate, we said, let's do something really simple and just validate that what comes into the model and we tell it to come out to us is exactly the same. So does the query match what the model is telling me is the query? And same thing for a bunch of miscellaneous constraints that we were able to figure out after hundreds of iterations and looking at our traces and model output. And again, really easy to see at a high level how often this happens because Weave just does things out of the box. So now, what do we get? I'm going to wave my hands and say after a few iterations, everything is perfect, which in this case it is. Now the query is exactly what the user searched for. Now it did do the internet search and figured out that this was a Japanese fashion brand and did say, hey, this item is totally irrelevant. This item is from the TV series and is not related to trendy and glamorous clothing. And because of the fact that now we wanted to scale this for more than a cherry-picked example, we made use of Weave's evaluation functionality. And again, 3 lines made it really easy. We have this item relevance judge, which is just some class that encapsulates all of the things about the model, all of the little configurations. We have this evaluation that takes some data set of cherry-picked examples and some arbitrary scoring functions. For us, let's pay attention to relevance label accuracy. And now, that's it. That's all we needed to do to get this beautiful evaluation page out of the box with radar plots, histograms to track the metrics that we cared about over more than just a few examples, but dozens and hundreds. And then to say, oh, well, what exactly differed between these iterations that I had? Oh, it was just the prompt, right? I put markdown here and not markdown here. Interesting. Oh, but with that small little change that seemed really inconsequential, not worth testing otherwise, all of a sudden has 100% accuracy across this data set. Huh. And then you can see why. Super easy way for me to do so, and then kind of sanity check that, oh yeah, the model looks like it's doing the right thing with these quantitative metrics, and then qualitatively, definitely still passes, and much more scalable now than looking at raw JSON logs. And again, something like, oh, did it do well on previous examples? At the end of the day, what was really important with this project is that we delivered some customer value both to our internal teams and then now by extension to our users who will make use of this feature. And at a high level, kind of this meta problem that we're solving of developing really strong systems and workflows to facilitate delivering that value. Just like how AI listing support, it catalyzed our customers' abilities to list. Now they can do that very easily. How embeddings catalyzed our internal team's abilities to deliver customer value just out of the box. So too did all of the tooling that we've developed and used in tandem with weights and biases now can help us to supercharge and catalyze the project speed for all of our projects going forward. So some key takeaways for me, it's to always listen to your customers, whoever they are. And then build something that delivers actual customer value. Again, whether that's your customers on this marketplace or our internal teams that we work with every day. And then to never stop improving. There comes a point where you think that you have everything nailed down, you have a good workflow, but then you always have to ask yourself, can we go faster? Can we do better? And I think that weights and biases really helps to do that because then we can iterate very quickly and say, oh yeah, these are small ways to improve. Easy. And then we can use that to kind of think not just think outside of the box, but to really break out of it. And those are the lessons that we're taking into the future of, again, rethinking what's possible, using GenAI to now solve problems that were previously unsolvable, and then to lead the way, but not in any way, but by helping these other teams and showing them the right way and helping them to solve the real customer problems, because together we can really get things done. It's only by unifying all of our power together that we can really deliver that next generation Mercari AI that we, in our minds, know is possible and is right there. So with that being said, some quick acknowledgements to our entire weights and biases team. Talking about invisible impact, their customer support's really fantastic. I don't know if it gets enough credit. Even 2 days before the presentation, Scott reached out to me on this little chat modal that I thought was kind of, oh, everyone has these chat bot services that are automated. But no, he was personally reaching out to saying, hey, I'm the PM on Weave. Do you have any questions? How can I help? So I thought that was worth a quick acknowledgement. And again, maybe a little less quick, the rest of the teams involved, there were so many. These are just the people that could fit in the slide. And especially to the AI LLM team themselves. I joined just, again, 3 weeks ago. They're the ones who have been doing all of this work since May of last year. So thank you guys. And fun fact, we are hiring. So if any of you are interested in joining this next generation of Mercari AI, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.